Well, hey there, I'm Don the Demon Slayer, and you're watching Do You Remember Postopia? Now, excuse me, I'm gonna get my day started by having some waffle crisp, and this is the first time I'm ever trying the cereal, so let's see if I like it. This shit's pretty good. Yeah, I know I'm a weirdo. I drink my milk on the side, I don't like it in my cereal. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. We all have had our favorite cereal growing up, right? Perhaps you were a Trix kid, maybe you love Cap'n Crunch, or you might have been rapping away to Reese's Puffs. Reese's Puffs! Reese's Puffs! Hell, you probably said yes to all of these. No word of a lie, I'm right there with you. But I remember this one specific brand of cereal, Post. Fruity Pebbles, Oreo O's, Alpha Bits, Golden Crisp, Honeycomb, and so on. All very nostalgic, but we aren't here to relive the magic of the cereals. Postopia is the subject of the day, one of the many kids-branded websites full of games based on existing IPs as a unique form of marketing. Developed by Razorfish, a digital media company, Postopia was launched in 2001 and proved to be very fun in its design, with an initial world map style consisting of 4 worlds: Space Nation, Icebergs, Wet World, and Futuria. One of the oldest commercials actually shows real kids turning into the 4 main mascot characters of Postopia, each symbolizing the world they come from. Chelsea represents Space Nation, Nick represents Wet World, Nikki represents Icebergs, and Xander represents Futuria. It's a tiny bit of storytelling, but just enough to get any kid invested in the product. From 2001 to 2004, the layout of the website looked like this, with an older logo at the time. There you could go across the tab and learn about the various worlds and play some games. Sometime around 2005, the site got the iconic update that more people will probably remember. This time it was akin to the old Cartoon Network website, where you had a bar to scroll across to choose the games you wanted. The games themselves had a great variety of entertaining gameplay ranging from exploration to platforming, shooting gallery, and strategy, to name a few. To further expand these games, Post released Post token codes that can be found on special collectible cards and cereal boxes. These codes could be used to unlock things like extra lives, bonus power-ups, and other specialties in whatever game you selected. These codes would be only a one-time use, urging you to buy more Post cereal to obtain more codes. I'm not going to look at every single game, as there was a little over 60 of them, but I'm going to touch on a few that I have the fondest memories of. And if you're starting to wonder where I got footage from some of these games, then let me introduce you to Blue Maxima's Flashpoint, a web game preservation project that's been around since January 2018 that has over 100,000 games archived. It's a free download, and it has Flash Player and other software built into it to boot up the games, thus making most of these games playable once again. My number one favorite out of all of them, Mini Golf, consists of courses based upon the 4 Postopia worlds. I always adored the graphics and all the little details and how they represent the world you're in. The obstacles are fun and creative, and it can be a challenge to nail a hole in one. It has great sound design, and the atmosphere screams early 2000s. If you love 3D Space Cadet Pinball, then you'll really enjoy this one. A pinball game based around the cereal brands of Postopia, complete with fun visual effects and sound design. This is an odd one out, as Monkey Huts wasn't based on any prior cereal brands, but it's great because it's like a strategy game. You begin by placing your huts around the map in hopes your opponent doesn't get to them. Then you take turns selecting spaces and hope that you find the opposing side's huts, and then you must take them down with coconuts. Very wacky and unusual, but it's a great time, and the music is really astounding. A 2-on-2 hockey game where your job is to score as many goals as possible and prevent the other team from stealing the puck. You have some light customization, from selecting an indoor or outdoor arena and selecting your team's jersey color. Every time the rink is reset, the Golden Crisp Bear acts as referee and throws the puck down. It's simple and straight to the point, and it resonated well with me as a kid, as I was into the New Jersey Devils hockey team, as I lived in Jersey when I first played these games. You may may remember those old ads for Oreo O's that feature these little Oreo cream guys jumping into a cereal bowl. Here we have a whole game based on that, where you must guide the Oreo guys safely to the cereal bowl while placing objects that will help them overcome obstacles. It's frantic with some creative on-the-fly puzzle solving, and the music is a fucking masterpiece. And let's not forget that second level music. Anyone else getting Gloria Estefan vibes from this?
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
A frisbee game where you must fling a ring into targets with the harder to reach one scoring you more points. Pretty simple and to the point, I just wish I could do better at it. However, that music is futuristically funky as all hell. A simple 2D platformer with a fun gameplay mechanic. You must cover all the tiles in one color by walking over them while avoiding the walrus family that attempts to stop you in your tracks. Each level is shaped differently, and some offer various gimmicks like breakable blocks and tiles that send you in another direction. You can collect items for additional points, but they only stay on screen for a limited time. So, I don't really know how to explain this one. Your objective is to raise these things that look like Phineas's head and give them whatever items they require in order to raise them to their maximum level. As it goes on, it becomes more frantic with additional morphits popping up, and just, what drugs were they on when they made this one? Now it's time we talk about our good friend Craver, the old honeycomb meth addict from your nightmares who started some commercials and Flash games. These commercials were wild, as a kid would transform into a Craver creature having honeycomb withdrawals until they got their fix. I mean, the mascot's name is Craver, so that's already a red flag right there. Well, when he's not being Pac-Man, he's pretending to be in Mortal Kombat. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this one is actually pretty fun. Craver's Honeycomb Havoc is a 2D fighting game where you fend off against these reptile things that look like the lizard creatures from the Spider-Man 3 game. Craver can high jump and use energy beam attacks, which can also be charged up for additional damage. Post must have really liked this game, as this was one of them that got a commercial. Lastly for Craver, we have Craver's Slurp and Slide. Okay, somebody tell me what's wrong with this picture. Do I even have to say anything? You have a mascot who's practically a drug addict with milk on his tongue, and he's slurping and sliding. Just move Craver with the mouse to collect the falling honeycomb pieces, and occasionally a cereal box for extra points. Sometimes things change up with the levels that go totally dark, but it's nothing to write home about. When he's not disrupting the peace, he also works his 9 to 5 as a Zamboni rider for the hockey game. The last game I want to talk about is the Postopia Adventure. I consider this to be the ultimate Postopia game, as it deals with exploring the 4 worlds in a simple exploration style. Your objective is to go through the 4 worlds of Postopia and reach the end of each level, sometimes having to collect certain treasures scattered throughout the area in order to proceed. Along the way, you could find one of the main characters who will give you some advice, and there are upgrades like weaponry and health pickups to heal your vehicle if you are damaged. This is the only game other than the mini-golf one where you get to explore the Postopian worlds. While there are some games that are separately based upon each realm, these deal with legitimately going within each area. One great touch is the attention to detail to further unify the world of Postopia. For example, we see the octopus, submarine, and jellyfish appear in the background of the soccer game based on Wet World, as well as in the background of the mini-golf game. As for my remaining thoughts on the Postopia Adventure, Futuria and Wet World were relatively easy to get through and not too confusing. Icebergs were okay, albeit a little confusing in the last couple of levels, but the Space Nation, oh my god. It started off alright, but this last world was the hardest, as it has many hard to avoid enemies and obstacles and a lot of passages that look nearly identical to one another. The worst offender of this was the final level, where you have to go through multiple passageways to find items to open more doors to finish the area. You see, each final level in the adventure contains a gem you must find before reaching the end. This is a game that could probably be beaten in like 30 minutes or so if you know where you are going, but I shit you not, I have over 2 hours of footage for this one game, primarily thanks to the space station area being so confusing and difficult, and I got lost so many times in the last Space Nation level. Unfortunately, there aren't any playthroughs of this out there to my knowledge, so I was all on my own, struggling for what felt like an eternity trying to beat it. Eventually, I finally did, and was kinda mad when I didn't even get a proper congrats screen, just this text box telling you to find the remaining treasures if you want. Overall, Postopia had many great and memorable Flash games that worked well even if you didn't like the post-food cereal brands. But this journey is not over yet. While I began to work on scripting this video, I found by complete accident that there was actually an official Postopia branded PDA that was released back in late 2003 and early 2004. So with this device, you can adjust the date and time, use a calculator, set an alarm, keep a list of emails and websites you visit, write in your phone contacts, create a schedule, write down your homework assignments, play a built-in memory game, input your birthday, save passwords. Christ, the only thing this device can't do is wipe your ass and masturbate for you. The most notable feature of this thing is when you press the Postopia button, it gives you a list of 3 exclusive passwords that you could use on postopia.com/gameframe, a site that was based around the aesthetic of the PDA, and these passwords would give you access to some exclusive games on the website. Unfortunately, all that seems to exist are these images of what it would have looked like or did look like back in the day. Overall, a unique piece of 2000s media and one based on something obscure nonetheless. Not to mention whatever company made this also made one based on Scooby-Doo, as it's the same model but the theming is different. Sadly, this is where our journey comes to an end in a very bitter manner. In some unspecified later years of Postopia's life cycle, the website was supposed to have a total overhaul with a brand new interface to change with the demographic. Razorfish was tasked with redesigning everything, and judging by these pictures, it was going to be a nice modern update and completely refreshing. Unfortunately, by around 2007, the entire project got defunded as Kraft sold their Post division to a company known as Railcorp. The real kick in the nuts came in 2011 when Postopia was officially replaced with a website called Pebbles Play, a place dedicated to strictly Pebbles branding. When I tried going to Postopia as a kid and seeing Pebbles Play, I was heartbroken once I learned that it replaced Postopia. And now, all these years later, Postopia is now fondly remembered by many for its fun and addictive style of games. If it wasn't for Flashpoint, these games would have been lost to time forever. Postopia will always hold a special place in my heart and be remembered as one of the many websites from my childhood that can never be forgotten. This begs the question, do you remember Postopia? Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in hell, Postopia Slayers.
Strawberry blasted honeycomb! Hang on, baby!